So you want to main Discordia, goddess of strife. First, ask yourself, why do you want to main Discordia? Her combos feel so smooth. She's a really fun goddess. She does really well in team fights, and she just likes chaos. Tons of Discordia. Her escape is not long range. Allies' wars can be an enemy. Discordia is a SMITE Roman mage. SMITE has classified her as an average god, and I find her easy to average. In this guide, we're going to explore Discordia as a mid, going through her abilities, combos, builds, counters, what not to do, and general tips. With that, let's go through her abilities. Discordia's passive, Contest of Gods. Whichever god on her team has the top damage dealt to enemy players will receive a power buff that scales off Discordia's level. A pretty simple passive, there is not much to go into with this one. Discordia's first ability, Unruly Magic. Discordia's one is a projectile type. Discordia sends an orb of unruly magic that damages any enemies it hits along the way. At its location point, it will break down into 6 minor projectiles that fire out in all directions. The mini orb will damage any enemies hit and bounce off walls. The ability is Discordia's main damage and poke. It's a really fun and easy ability to use. Discordia's second ability, Strife. Discordia's 2 is an AoE. Discordia creates an area of strife that damages all enemies hit. If 2 or more enemy gods are hit at the same time, they will turn on each other for 1 second. The same goes for minions. If only a single target is hit, they are rooted for 1 second instead. This ability is Discordia's main setup. It's super fun to use and it flows in with her abilities nicely. Discordia's third ability, Erratic Behavior. Discordia's 3 is a leap and deployable. Discordia leaps a short distance and creates an area of confusion that lasts for 5 seconds. Inside her circle, she is stealthed and gains bonus movement speed. Her first and second ability cooldowns are also reduced. The longer she remains in the area, the more cooldown reduction she receives. Attacking from the area will briefly reveal her. This ability is great for escapes, but also extremely good for engagements. Discordia's ultimate, Golden Apple of Discord. Discordia's ultimate is a projectile. Discordia throws a huge apple that damages and passes through minions and bounces off walls. If the apple hits an enemy god, it will damage them and force them to hold the apple. They will be crippled, intoxicated, and constantly burst. At the end of the duration, the apple will denotate, dealing damage and spreading the effects to nearby gods. This ability is extremely good in team fights. It has a lot of damage and setup. In jungle fights, it's especially good as enemies have a hard time avoiding it with all the walls it can bounce off. For the first 5 levels, at level 1, her 1, at level 2, her 2, at level 3, her 3, at level 4, her 1, at level 5, her ultimate. For leveling priority, I would go her 4 for more damage, her 1 for increased damage and poke, her 2 for increased damage, her 3 for increased movement speed and cooldown reduction in her circle. So basically, 4, 1, 2, 3. Other leveling pathways you can go are 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 1, 3, 2. Combos for Discordia. Discordia's combos are pretty simple and straightforward. I usually put a lot of CDR on her so her skills can get pretty spammy. Plus, the extra cooldown from her 3 also makes it a really nice engagement even after you've used all your combos. These combos are really good for team fights especially. For short combos, 2 and 1. For medium combos, 2, 1, 4. 2, 4, 1. For combos with her 3, 2, 1, 3. Wait for the cooldown reduction and then 2 and 1 again. 2, 4, 1, 3. Wait for the cooldown reduction and then 2 and 1 again. Builds for Discordia. I enjoy cooldown reduction and power on Discordia as her abilities can do a lot of damage with low cooldowns. Her 3 makes it even better. Book of Thoth, Shoes of Focus, Spear of Desolation, Soul Reaver, Obsidian Shard, and Soul Gem. Replace Spear of Desolation for Divine Ruin if you are going up against healers. Cronus Pendant is also a nice item if you can afford it. Counters of Discordia. Discordia's 2 is countered by beads. Discordia's ultimate, her damage is countered by Aegis and her cripple and intoxication is countered by beads. Discordia's escape is countered by AoE abilities. For example, an enemy god like Poseidon can just whirlpool or ult when she's using her 3. So important note for her 3, a lot of enemy gods can counter it. Allies' walls such as Ganesha's pillars or Ymir's walls sometimes don't know what our allies will throw, and well, that means it can be a bad timing. Her ultimate might just hit an ally's wall by accident and not reach the enemies. What not to do as Discordia. Even though her 3 is a great engagement tool, remember that it's also her main escape. Do not use this as an engagement unless you know that you're safe. Her short escape requires good positioning. Do not put yourself in bad positions. Tips for Discordia. When clearing with Discordia, I sometimes use both her 1 and 2. If an enemy is close enough, you can 2 the minions and the enemy guard, getting off a bit of extra damage. When you can, try and use your 2 on 2 or more enemies. Sets up some real nice damage on multiple enemies for your 1. Discordia is one of the few mages that you can play very aggressively. Jungle is a nice place for Discordia to fight. Her 1 and 4 bounces off walls. Attacking while in her 3 can give her a slight advantage. Since enemies can't see you, they won't see what angle you're attacking from until the very last moment, giving them less time to act accordingly. A huge thank you to Chiza Hattori for their generous coffee donation. I'm super sorry if I pronounced this wrong. They are the ones who brought you this Discordia guide today. If you'd like to request a god guide or simply just to support me, the link is down in the description below. Any likes and comments would be super rad. Make sure to click the bell if you enjoy SMITE guides. This will notify you when I post a new guide for you. I hope to see you for the next one. Bye!